Hey guys, Coach Langdon. I'm going to go through your cross country packet with you guys, just like this for our team meeting. So I'm going to share my screen here in a second, and you can watch and go through everything that I go through. And then you'll have the packet on your school email. So there are a couple pages that you might want to print out, but most of it will be in that digital format. And if you have any questions, just send me a text. That's the most important thing, is that you keep up with your group text. And if you respond to the group text, that just comes like directly to me. So you don't have to worry about the rest of the team seeing that. And after we go through all this, if you have questions about the season, um, I'll let you know as soon as I know things in terms of when we can meet and school and that kind of stuff. As of right now, no decisions have been made except that the state is not allowing us to meet in person until the 1st of July, which honestly is kind of what we do anyway. So unless that changes, we're pretty much on schedule right now. So let me share my screen. So here's what you're going to get with you. It should look familiar. So I'll just go through each page with you real quick, and then that'll be it. So here's our cover page, obviously. I'm not going to read the welcome, but take the time to read through all the welcome stuff. There's a little bit about obviously the stuff we're going through now, and then just some things that we're going to talk through. But just be sure you read all the welcome information. You guys know pretty well by now that the key to our program is just those summer miles. So I mean, if you put the time in, even if it's individually, which it might have to be more this year than ever, that's going to be important, but we've always done that. So the key to your cross country season is just simply getting your miles in. So here's just a couple of things, our table of contents. Here's a couple of things to help you out. One, just be consistent. When you do start, it's just really important that you keep going. It really doesn't matter how good you are at the beginning. Nobody's going to be very good when you start, and you guys that have done cross country know that. It just takes time. So when you make that first plan to run for the very first day, no matter how far it is or how bad you feel, just keep going. It's just really important to be consistent. It will get easier over time, and you'll start to see that after a couple of weeks. And by the third week, you'll start to feel like you can run a little bit. So just be consistent, be creative. Summer conditioning is not all about running. You can bike, which is great. You can swim. Just pay attention to your body. But any kind of cross training is really important. So you can work on that as well, and just change some things up if you want to. We always talk about being together. That might be a challenge. Obviously, we're going to follow the state's guidelines and the OHSAA guidelines. So, if you have somebody that you've been spending time with already and that you can run with them, then that's fine. The challenge now is we currently cannot really recommend or encourage you to meet in groups. So that's a bit of a challenge. But obviously your family can run with you or bike with you or those kinds of things. So it's always a difficult thing to do these things entirely by yourself. But if you can find at least one other person to be accountable with, that would be important. Four, be realistic. Just do what you can do. No one's going to jump out the door the first day and just run like a crazy fast time. And honestly, I wouldn't even time stuff at the beginning. Just simply get out, put the miles in. They can be slow miles. It really doesn't matter. The summer is about just building up your mileage. So just be realistic. I'm going to go through the mileage calendars here in a little bit. And when you start to set your goals, you can adjust those as the season goes. Five, be positive. Don't give up and get discouraged. It gets really hard in the summer. The weather's really hot, and a lot of times you're having to run by yourself, and it can be tough when you don't feel like you're in shape. It's a lot easier when we meet as a team, obviously. So the challenge is when you're by yourself is to stay positive, and then be healthy. Pay attention to your body. If you're getting injuries or soreness, you can take time off in the summer because you have time. And then your diet, you want to start working on that. Most of you are great about that, so this would be the time to start to organize your diet and the things that you put into your body before the season gets here. And then just to circle back to this last thing, the key to your summer is just being consistent. It sounds strange to say, but you can do the wrong thing, but if you do it consistently, it's going to give you some benefit. Fortunately for you guys, you have a great plan in place. So you're doing the right thing, but you have to do it consistently. You can't just go out a couple days a week and expect to get better. You just have to commit to it and be consistent. It'll make a huge difference for you. Next page, couple pages actually. This should have been updated after last year. This would be our top 20 list. You can see we had some kids. Devin and Joe made number 8 and 9 on our top 20 list, and then also 8 and 9 on our senior list. And then Dagan cracked into the top 10 for sophomores, and then Brandon to 1741. So you can see, and these are getting much more difficult to even make the list at all. 20th now for boys is 1727. On the girls' side, Madison is second, 1936, behind the school record. And you can see the list for each grade as well. And for top 20 for girls is now 2118. So they're getting much more difficult to get on, which is good. You want to be able to mean something. So any of our kids that are on these lists, I mean, that's a pretty cool accomplishment. Next is our schedule. As I have it right now, I've not confirmed this with Mr. Leith yet, so it could change, but we're pretty much the same as last year. So I think everything though is pushed back a week. So August 29th is our first meet, which is St. John's, and then Grove. We go back to the Marion Invitational, which we did last year, except I think both teams, because we won both the races last year, will now be put into the big boy and big girl races. So they'll be, yeah, we'll get it. It's hard. So that'll be fun. A little bit of a challenge there. Lida, and then last year we had an open Saturday, which is still open. The Van Wert Invite, Kalida, which is like maybe our third year going there. Coldwater was on a Saturday. It still is. And then our tournament. Big change. The state meet has been moved to a really amazing facility. It's in Obetz, Ohio, which is like a suburb of Columbus, but it's a huge facility and it's an incredible venue for the state meet. So those of you that have either run at the state meet or been down there know that the previous site, not great. This is very different. It has a very different feel to it. So we're very excited about the new location. So that's a big change and definitely something we want to try to work towards, this year and years down the road. So that's our schedule. Also a big change is camp. We are, for the first time like 20 years, going to a brand new location, and we are going north now instead of south. So everything is completely the opposite. Instead of the woods and the hills, we're going to be by the beach and the water, and we're going to the sand dunes in Michigan. So the nice thing about this online stuff, you can go ahead for yourself. And we're staying in these condos, super nice. It's actually on a golf resort. So it's really pretty cool. Not real far from the water, and we're not right on the beach, but we have to do a little bit of a drive. So that's the place that we're staying. You can check that out. And then this is actually a picture of the sand dunes. And if you've never been there before, check out some of the pictures. There's a lot of different stuff. So camp will feel and look a lot different. One of our goals is to put more miles in, and we can't really do that in Hocking Hills because it's so hilly. So when we go to Michigan, we'll be able to run further with, I guess, terrain in the town like ours, where it's flat, but also have access to the water in the summer and then do some stuff in the sand dunes. So it's going to be very different and a huge change. So that's our plan coming up with camp. So the next couple of pages has to do with cross country camp. This kind of explains where we're going and then what it takes to go. Please do not send any money in at this time. Obviously, with everything that's going on, I cannot say 100% that we're even going to camp when we are scheduled to go. So I don't know that yet. I can't make any decisions on that, and it ultimately will not be my decision. It'll be based on the school, whether they allow us to go or not. and that'll be tied into how school opens and what the state of Ohio does and the OHSAA. So don't send any money in, but you can if you are going to go, and we really want everybody to go. Just simply print out the paper on the next page, and that'll be like your contract, but don't give me any money. I do want you to make sure you get to your 100 miles before going to camp, and that should not be difficult. It's I think 6 weeks maybe of running, if not more, before camp. So that's a very minimum amount of mileage, but it's important. The cost right now, I don't know. Most likely, it'll be the lowest amount. I think we have close to 40 kids signed up right now. So I would envision taking 30 or more kids, and that will cost $215 hopefully. But that stuff is not due until July, almost the last day of July. So don't do anything with that. And the other change, because of the cost and where we're going, we are coming back a little bit earlier. It's 4 days and 3 nights. We're still going to leave Monday morning, August 3rd, and then we're going to come back like late Thursday. So instead of getting up early Friday and driving back, we're going to start making our way back, and then we'll be back home late Thursday. And then we'll do something here in Van Wert on Friday. So that's partially just to see how things go. And the next year, if all goes well and the cost works out, we could extend that back to Friday, but we'll have to see how that goes. And then eventually checks will be made out to the athletic boosters, but don't worry about that. Right now, the important thing would be this page right here, which is your permission slip. And it just basically lets me know that you plan to go. We try really hard to take every single person, and most years we do, with the exception of maybe one or so because they have some other prior engagement. So if you can make this work, it's probably the most important thing that we'll do, the most fun that you'll have, not just in cross country, but a lot of kids will say that that's the best thing they did in their high school career. So it's definitely a cool thing, especially this year going to a new location. So you can print this page out separately, I guess, and then either give that to me when we start to have team conditionings, or you can you can mail that to me as well, or drop that off at my house over the summer. And that will hold your spot, and then mostly let me know how many condos that we need. The last couple of things then, and this is really the key. Here's the calendar for practice. It is not set in stone. There could be changes, especially this year. Depends on when we are allowed to meet, what that might look like. It might have to be smaller groups. I'm not sure yet. But it is conditioning. So these summer meetings are not mandatory. They are important. And if you can be there, it makes it so much easier. But they are not mandatory. And then the locations will change from week to week. So make sure you check your calendars. I will always send out a group text on probably Sunday just to remind you where the new location is going to be. And as always, if you have any questions, just call or text, and I can give you that information then as we go through that. Just a few days to remember. June 22nd is our senior-led week. I will text you guys information once the seniors tell me what they're doing. The next week then, June 29th, we actually legally cannot meet at that time because that's still the no contact week. But hopefully when it turns over to July 1st, we'll meet out in Franklin Park at 8:30. We have a couple of Camp Clay days. Mandatory practice right now is July 27. And then July 31st is that convoy half marathon. We had Madison, Joe, and Devin all ran that last year. So that's before camp. And then August 3rd, we leave for cross country camp. So those are our dates to remember. And then here's our calendar. Again, we technically, as of right now, cannot meet until this Wednesday. So these are still dates that we're not allowed to be together. I cannot have contact with you physically. But right now, July 1st would be the first time that we could get together. So that is our first week. Smiley Park and then Jubilee. These are all parks in Van Wert. The fishing pier, South Reservoir, where Rabbit Hill is, that would be this week. And then our conditioning week is at Franklin Park. And then we have camp, and then we've got some days of practice before school starts. So make sure I would probably print this page out as well, so you have a copy or take a picture of it. And then the next 4 pages, I think, are your mileage calendars. So I'll just go through. This first one would be like for a newcomer, a freshman, senior through senior, that maybe have been JV before, and you kind of have to not help you if you're not sure like where your current level is, but everything you need to know is down here at the bottom. These numbers here would just be miles. So on this first June 15th day, that's just 3 miles. However long it takes you, whether it's walk, jog, run, whatever it is, it's 3 miles. Same thing. These numbers are just mileage. And at the end of the week, you get 15 miles in. Then it starts to add up, obviously. These days you go out 2 super easy miles, and then you come back 2 miles as hard as you can at that point in your conditioning. That explains that down here. We do all this stuff in practice. If you come to conditioning, if you come to team conditioning, we do all this stuff. So you don't have to worry about taking care of this stuff by yourself. A lot of times the stuff on your own would have to be the longer runs, or a Sunday run, or possibly a Saturday run. But that would be this calendar here. We are also changing and pushing back the timed runs later in the season. So this would be a freshman or a senior that has been or thinks they could be potentially varsity. So obviously the miles for this little stretch of time are going to be increased. And there's some different things here. Like on an 8-mile run day, you can do 5 in the morning and then 3 in the afternoon to get your total of 8, or you can do all 8 at once. We do add some hills, which could be the reservoir hills and different things like that. This next one would be, our last 2 are most challenging. So this would mostly be for junior, senior boy or girl that has run or would like to run like these times. So like, for example, last year, Brandon would only be a sophomore, but his time was super close to that. So this would be where I would send him. Even though he would not, fit the age requirement, his time would put him in this program here. Girls from 19 flat to 20 flat, and this would be the total mileage. So it's not quite a college calendar, but it's getting closer because you can see now there are 8, 9, 10-mile runs, which anybody can do. You don't have to run them fast, but the mileage gets up in that 6-week window, over 200 miles. And then our last one, which I know Madison did some last year, Devin and Joe pretty strictly followed this, gets you closer to, almost like 260 miles. And a lot of that is just adding in these much longer, long, slow runs on the weekend. And then that kind of goes through that whole schedule as well. And then down here at the bottom again, it explains like every single thing that you need to do, what the things mean, and the information. So the most important thing, honestly, are these calendars, and just simply look at the date, find out, how far you're supposed to go on that date, get your miles in, mark it off, and that's how you can be consistent. But once we start to have team conditioning, we do these things together, and it's way easier. But we only meet 5 days a week, and some of you will run, maybe 6, and in some cases 7 days a week. So don't be overwhelmed by this. This is clearly, our program is high level, and I would consider it to be elite for Division III cross country. So don't look at this and get intimidated. Some of you will do this because this is what you can do, should do, and want to do. Some of you can find a very good place in one of these other calendars and still get better. So there's something here for everyone. Don't let this scare you away. For our freshmen coming in, same deal. Just start slowly. We'll build you where you need to be. Talk to the freshmen from last year. Those kind of things would be good conversations to have. And if you're not sure, what you should be doing, then at that point, just send me a text and I'll try to let you know. I'll do the same thing in May. I will try to text kids from last year and tell them where I think you should be. And I know some kids last year, even Madison would do some from this calendar, and then she would do some from this calendar and kind of mix the two. So you can mix these two as well. So there's a lot of flexibility, but If we want to be the kind of team that we've been in the past and want to be in the future, these calendars here are really important. These team conditionings are really important. Get there when you can, and when you can't make it, you just have to find time on your own. It takes maybe 45 minutes to an hour to get everything done, most days. So it's not like we're asking you for 3 hours a day. It's a small amount of time. It's not a huge time commitment. It just needs to be done consistently. So this is our packet. So you'll have access to this. For those of you that tend to lose it all the time, now you'll have it. So this is probably a good thing. We'll do this in the future. And you'll have a paper copy, but I'll also, from here on out, send this to you digitally so you'll have it. So if you have any questions, take some time, read through it. We can kind of go through that stuff too. Other than that, I'm going to let you guys go and check out your packet. As soon as I know anything about the season, I will let you know. With the track kids, I was always very upfront and honest. So as soon as Mr. Leith knows something, he's been good about letting me know. As I follow the OHSAA as well. So anything that comes my way, I will update you guys. If you hear rumors or questions, don't be afraid to ask. I know as a coaches association, we're going to try to do everything we can to make the season happen, even if it has to look very differently. I saw Connor yesterday and Dagan, they're out on a bike ride. He suggested that we do races in hamster balls. I don't know. That's not the worst idea I've heard. And that would be kind of fun and honestly hilarious. So anyways, I don't know what they're going to do, but just understand that we are going to try everything we can to make it happen. And so we're going to proceed that way, especially because the end of our season is not until October and the state meet is not until November. So we've got time. So hopefully the state takes their time and makes decisions, but also to make sure that everybody is safe and healthy, which is our most important goal. So if you guys have questions or concerns about cross country or just in general, I know this has been a unique challenge to be mostly stuck at home and not have contact with your team. I know many of you lost your spring season and still trying to process like all of that, and the emotion of that has been difficult. And so if you have just, need help, just reach out. If you have any kind of feelings of anxiety or questions about the virus or school or whatever it might be, I'll definitely be a resource for you. Keep recruiting. I know we have some kids that signed up that aren't 100% sure yet, but we'd love to have them. So if there are kids that you think might benefit from being part of cross country, just send them our way. And I think that form, that Google form, is probably still going to be there. So they just would have to fill that out and let me know. So miss you guys. I really can't wait to see you in person. I don't know about you, but I'm kind of getting worn out from all the Zoom, Google stuff and the texting, and just really miss being, together in the same space. So hopefully we can do that. If we do meet, or when we do meet, Dagan has promised to wear a Forrest Gump outfit to the first team conditioning. So I think he's got the hat and he's got the pants. He just needs the shirt. So if you see Dagan and have the stuff for him to wear, that is definitely something that I am looking forward to, is seeing him in his Forrest Gump outfit on our first team conditioning run. So I'm going to let you guys go. But if you have questions, let me know. Read through the packet carefully. If you want, I know part of the challenge is we would normally be in track right now. So some of you have already started, which is fine. Just don't overdo it. It's probably good that you're doing things now, but don't run heavy miles here in May. That's not going to benefit you. But doing nothing is also bad. So if you're not real sure like how to start because track is not happening now, just do a little bit. Take a week of that calendar and do something every other day. Bike, cross train, that kind of thing is good. Just stay generally fit, and then when you start the program, like start all in. All right. So I'll text you guys soon. Maybe do another video possibly to go over some stuff. But other than that, we hope to see you probably at this point looks like July 1st on that Wednesday, if not around the neighborhood somewhere. So miss you guys. See you soon. All right. Bye.